If we lost the internet, I would still be able to live and survive. Hey everybody, my name is Jesse Grosspolen and welcome to the JesseAF show. Today is Friday, May 17th, 2019, episode 96 of my daily podcast. Yeah, that's right, daily. That means every single day I'll be posting a new episode. So please check in tomorrow for my next episode. I'm on Google Play Music, Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, and YouTube. So if you have any of those platforms, please consider subscribing. That way you get notifications for whenever I post a new episode. Yeah, so if I didn't have the internet, and I'm not talking like pre-internet, I'm talking now in this lifetime without internet. If we lost internet somehow, I would still be able to survive. I would still be able to survive if I was in the mountains. I would still be able to survive if I was in the city of Kingston. I would be able to survive. And it's not because I don't use the internet, because I obviously do. I post on podcasts, I post on YouTube, I post on Facebook, I use Facebook all the time, I use Instagram all the time. I'm always on it. Okay, I'm always on the news app. I'm always doing different things. I'm always using internet. And when I'm at home, I'm on my computer all the time. I love the internet. I love computers. You know, it's what I do. It's just a part of my life, just like it is everybody else's. And I can live without it. I can find a way to live without it. I can eliminate it from my life, and I would still be able to create a successful business without it. Now, if everybody else didn't have the internet, I would still be able to do that. If everybody else had the internet except for me, I think it would be a lot more difficult, but I would still find a way to do it. It would take a lot longer to create a business. It would take a lot more trial and error to create the business. I would be more going into it blind than I would be going into it informed, because of course I'm always learning. I'm always teaching myself new things. I'm always searching up new things on YouTube. I'm always searching up new things on Instagram, the internet in general. So I'm always finding new things. And although I can live without this internet, and the reason why I can live without it is because as a generation, as a world, well, as a civilization, we all learn to adapt, right? We all learn to adapt with what we have and what we don't have. And if we have had something for a long time, it's kind of difficult to adapt to it. But most of my life, I haven't had an iPhone. I had a slide phone through high school, and well, I got my first iPhone probably in 10th grade, so not all the way through high school. But at the same time, I really only had an iPhone from 10th grade, so I'm not heavy on it. I'm sure these kids now are growing up with iPhones in their pockets or in their parents' pocket, and they're using their iPhone all the time. But my parents, they had old phones when I had an old phone. When I had an iPhone, they had an iPhone. So I'm not used to the whole idea of, oh, you have an iPhone? Can I use it? I'm not used to that. So I'm used to a world where iPhones weren't really a big thing. The internet wasn't as big as it is now. You know, I was born in 1995. I mean, sure, the internet was around back then, but I also remember growing up and only being able to play with my friends on the internet if nobody was talking on the phone. And like if you were talking on the phone to someone, you couldn't use the internet at all. And that's what I'm used to. I'm used to that Ethernet connection to the computer, and I'm used to the computer with the huge tower and the fat display, and everything took like 10 hours to download onto the computer, and we mostly had discs. We had floppy disks too, but we generally got the discs. I lived with VHS tapes. I don't even know if you know what a VHS tape is, but it's literally a brick that you shove into this huge brick that plays the tape, and you watch movies like that. Or you could record TV shows like it. I'm used to that type of technology. I'm used to thinking about technology in that type of way, where I'm always discovering new things about it. I'm always trying different things with it, and I'm really used to that type of technology in general. It's normal for me. And I can live without it because I grew up learning real skills like woodworking, like quilting, like cooking, and talking to people, networking physically with people, writing. I have beautiful penmanship. I mean, I do. I can write people letters, no problem. That's not an issue for me. Sure, of course, I might not exactly be perfect with my spelling. I am good with spelling. I'm not a fourth grader, but I do. Every so often, you'll find a word. It's like, oh, great. How do you spell that again? And then you try writing it, and it's like, that doesn't look right. But it does look right because it's actually it. Whatever. But we all have those time periods where we just haven't had something that other people have had. So kids nowadays haven't really had the life experience of using VR all the time, right? Eventually, VR will be so big that everyone will not know how to live without it. Maybe it's AR. Maybe it's their glasses and they can see lines on the road where they're supposed to go. And maybe they don't like how you have to look at a phone to see where the directions are. That future is eventually going to be here. But at the same time, self-driving cars. Self-driving cars are becoming really, really popular. I mean, you see Tesla with their cars that can just drive on autopilot. That's pretty amazing. Sure, there are some car accidents involved with it, but it's not a big enough issue where it's actually the autopilot that's making a mistake. It may be human error, but that's not the point. What the point is I can live without the internet. Because I lived without the internet for a lot of my life. I lived without using the internet every single minute of my life. I lived using this computer where I had to install a game before I got to play it on the disc. And that disc took hours to download. It wasn't fun. But it taught me something. I spent most of my childhood outside playing. I spent most of my childhood digging huge holes in my backyard where I could play in them, and I could create imaginary games with my brother. I would walk around my backyard for hours upon hours just playing these imaginary games, even though I had a DSi in the house, or I had a Game Boy Advanced in the house, or a GameCube, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, well, I had a GameCube and I had a Game Boy Advance and I had a DSi when it came out. The point is, I've had old technology where you had a little card that stuck into the game, the system, and that little card, if it had dust in it, you had to blow it out. You could hear that sound and you know exactly what they were doing. And you'd probably run over to them. Hey, what game do you have? Oh, do you have Pokemon? Oh, Pokemon, cool. What Pokemon do you have? Whatever. But I'm used to that world where the internet wasn't really important. Well, it wasn't as important as it is now to me, where I'm using it all the time. I'm pretty much on it all the time, or I'm always learning different things. I lived in that pre-internet world where the internet wasn't really a big thing. And sure, it was big if you were on the internet, if you had a computer all the time, but I didn't really use the internet. I mostly just played outside and I did different things. So I know how to live without it. I know how to network. I know how to find ways to create a business better. I mean, you can always find a better way to do different things. You always can find a better way to make business work. You can always find a different way to graphic design something. I can create a logo with a piece of pen and paper. I mean, I'm an artist. I've been drawing my whole life. I don't need a computer with Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop on it to create my logo. I can do that physically. I know how to do it. It's not that difficult, and it could be difficult to other people. Maybe they're used to the circle tool and they're really just, I can't live without the circle tool, because you can't make a circle freehand be a perfect circle. Well, no, you can't, but it takes time. It takes time to do these things, and it takes a lot of time and effort to master these skills. And I feel like I have that grasp on things. I can take time to learn it by myself without searching it up. I can take time to advertise my company physically or through the newspaper or whatever it is, because I know how to. The world is the way it is, but you will always have to find a way to live with the world the way that is, no matter what it is. No matter if there was no internet tomorrow, I would still be able to survive. And I would do it very easily, too. It's not difficult. Sure, it would be a little bit more lonely, but then I would find different people to talk to more often. I would be like, hey, what's up? You want to come over? Let's hang out. Let's start talking business. Whatever it is. I know how to do that. I'm comfortable with that. Maybe you aren't. Who knows? I hope you guys really enjoyed today's episode. I know I did, and I really hope you guys think about it. What if there was no internet? Would I be able to survive? Post a comment down below. Post a comment and whatever. I mean, DM me. Do whatever. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you guys tomorrow, and I hope you have a really great day.